Okay, so this is the video solution set for the 3.1 practice number 3. The first 4 problems really are just about reminding you what the zero product property looks like. So, for example, something like this. So if we write a function in factored form and it looks like x minus 5 times x minus 9 equals 0, all this is reminding us about is that the product of the factors x minus 5 and x minus 9 can only equal 0 when either one of two things is happening. Either x minus 5 must equal 0 or x minus 9 must equal 0. Because by the zero product property, we know that we can only have a product that equals 0 when we're multiplying by 0. So only when one of these two factors is 0 can the product be 0. Well, when does x minus 5 equal 0? When x equals 5. We probably could have just written it right here. Or when does x minus 9 equal 0? When x equals 9. And so it wants us to just separate our solutions with a comma. And so what do we get here? If we do that, our two solutions are just, we're filling in the blanks, x equals 5, comma 9. Okay, so we'll do one more of these. How about this guy? Let's see, what are the solutions here? When does x minus 5 or x plus 5 equals 0? X plus 5 equals 0 when x equals negative 5. X plus 10 equals 0 when x equals negative 10. Anything else that's unique there? No. So this one, the answers would be 8 and negative 10. And to this one, the answers would be negative 6 and positive 8. Okay, moving on, solving simple quadratic equations by factoring. So this is just an extension of what we did in the last assignment. No big deal. So if we've got a quadratic equation in standard form, which remember, all that means is we've got a quadratic equation set equal to 0. So solving by factoring, and that's always going to be our first and easiest choice. It's not always going to work, but when it works, it's simple. So what we mean by that is, can we rewrite this quadratic expression in factored form and then just use the zero product property? Well, this is an easy one to factor because the coefficient of x squared is 1. So if there are magic numbers, it's going to factor easily. So are there magic numbers that multiply to negative 27 and add to 6? Well, yeah, that would be positive 9 and negative 3. So now that puts it into factored form. And what does that mean the solutions are? Now, a common mistake here that people oftentimes will do is they'll say, okay, yeah, the answers are 9 and negative 3. Wrong. Those are the magic numbers, but they're not the solutions. The solutions are the values of x that make the factors equal to 0. So when does x plus 9 equal 0? When x equals negative 9. When does x minus 3 equal 0? When x equals positive 3. So the two solutions are negative 9 and positive 3. Either order. How about one more of those? Okay, so in this case, let's see, x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So we have a quadratic equation in standard form. Can we find magic numbers that multiply to negative 4 and add to negative 3? Negative 4 and positive 1. So what does that make the solutions? X minus 4 equals 0 when x equals 4. X plus 1 equals 0 when x equals negative 1. So x equals 4 or x equals negative 1. Okay. So what about situations like this? Now these are a little different. These are situations where there is only a single x term in the whole equation, right? So remember what we always say about this in class, if you can point to a single x in an equation, then you can isolate it by reversing order of operations. Well, this one's pretty straightforward. The one step we need to do to isolate the x is to undo the exponent, right? To square root both sides. So when I square root both sides, I get x equals square root of 4 is 2. But remember, here's the key. You must include a plus or minus whenever you square root both sides of an equation. Right? That's always got to be an automatic step for you. So then we get two solutions here, positive 2 and negative 2. And we can see they both work. Positive 2 squared is 4 and negative 2 squared is 4. Remember, once again, if you square root both sides of an equation, you have to include, and you're solving an equation by square rooting, you must include that plus or minus with your answer. So 2 or negative 2. Okay.